We've all heard the saying that what goes up must come down. Well, it turns out that the value of cryptocurrencies is no exception to that rule. Since Bitcoin, the world's first entirely digital currency that was rolled out in 2009, has had to build its value through gaining popularity and demand. When Bitcoin or any digital currency's prices soar, they gain a lot of public interest and investments, which increase the value even more. But as we've seen a few times over the years, that bubble can quickly burst, and people who were once Bitcoin billionaires are left with nothing to show for it. If they're lucky, maybe they'll hold on to their Bitcoin and wait for prices to go back up, but in the worst case scenario, they'll be left with lots of debt. The volatile nature of digital currencies' values make for quite a few horror stories of big investments gone totally wrong. Curious to know just how bad these former millionaires had it? Keep on watching to learn about 10 of the biggest Bitcoin losses of all time. Interact with us. Subscribe and hit the notification button to be notified when we upload more content. Don't forget to leave a like and comment below. Also, feel free to suggest any type of videos you would like to see on this channel. Thanks! Number 1. A risky investment. Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, the twins involved in the creation of Facebook, who you might remember from the social network, stayed on the pulse of technology by investing in Bitcoin. The twins probably could have lived happily on their $65 million settlement they got from their Facebook-related lawsuit, but instead they chose to invest in this new and risky digital currency. In 2012, the twins spent over $1.2 million on Bitcoin. Bitcoin cost only $10 each back then, so they ended up with 120,000 Bitcoin, which was 1% of all the coins in circulation at the time. At Bitcoin's peak in 2017, the twins' holdings were worth over $2.34 billion. Only a year later in 2018, the value of their Bitcoin had dropped to only $720 million, a loss of about $1.62 billion for them. Although, if they're rich enough to invest over $1 million in Bitcoin in the first place, it's probably not that big of a deal to them. Number 2. Lost in a landfill. Our second big Bitcoin loss comes from the United Kingdom, where tragedy struck IT worker and Bitcoin enthusiast James Howells. Like many Bitcoin millionaires, Howells got into cryptocurrency early. He worked hard to earn his digital money and mined 7,500 Bitcoins from 2009 to 2013. This was back when Bitcoin's value was still on the rise. Howells eventually sold the laptop that he used to mine the coins, but he kept a hard drive with all of his Bitcoin data on it just in case it became really valuable. Unfortunately, he ended up accidentally throwing out the hard drive while he was doing some deep cleaning later that year. His hard drive ended up buried in a landfill in Wales, and he was not allowed to search for it because of health, safety, and environmental risks. At Bitcoin's peak, the coins on the hard drive would have been worth more than $146 million. The really sad part is that those Bitcoin will never be able to re-enter the economy, which may have an effect on Bitcoin's value. Number 3. A loss of his dreams. This cautionary tale of bad investment comes from abroad as well. Australian journalist Derek Rose cashed in his $70,000 retirement account in 2017 to invest in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which were greatly rising in value at the time. Rose even went so far as to take out loans in order to invest in digital currencies. He was paying $1,000 a day in interest, but he didn't care because he was making $500,000 a day in profit. At one point, his cryptocurrencies had reached a value of $7 million. He ignored people's suggestions that he should cash in his digital currency for something more stable. Rose continued to invest and try to build his fortune with the hopes of owning a yacht and a sports team. Instead, Bitcoin's value ended up plummeting after 2018, and Rose lost his millions along with his grandiose dreams. Number 4. A failing cryptocurrency. If you thought one person losing their cryptocurrency fortune was bad, just imagine an entire digital currency going down the drain. Chris Larsen is the co-founder of the digital currency Ripple. Like Bitcoin, this new digital currency had humble beginnings, but by the end of 2017, Ripple was trading at $3.65 per coin. Larsen had $60 million to his name because of his budding cryptocurrency. By the end of 2018, tragedy had struck and Ripple's value was down to 45 cents per coin. Larsen had lost $44 million over the course of of 1 year, but abandoning his company would put his livelihood in even more jeopardy. Nowadays, a single Ripple coin is worth only 3 cents, and that value is expected to drop even more by the end of 2021. Ripple was able to rebrand as XRP and branch out into other aspects of developing programming for digital payments, but it still hurts to have a failing cryptocurrency attached to your name. Chris Larson's finances are probably not looking as good as they could be thanks to his cryptocurrency endeavors. Number 5. Losing his life savings. Sean Russell, a property developer from the United Kingdom, lost his life savings when Bitcoin's value crashed towards the beginning of 2018. Russell began investing in Bitcoin around November of 2017 and invested an initial $120,000 in digital currency. His Bitcoin leapt to an astounding $500,000 in value in just 1 month. Russell said that he was earning tens of thousands of dollars on his investment each day. By December of 2017, an individual Bitcoin was worth $20,000. Just 2 months after that, Bitcoin's value had dropped to $6,000, which is a decrease of over 70%. Bitcoin's value did not get much higher than that for the rest of the year. Russell tried to put money in other digital currencies to gain some money back, but it didn't work out. He ended up losing 96% of his initial investment. He saw money that he planned to use on mortgages and dream vacations slip away as quickly as it appeared. Number 6. Lost his dream of owning a sports team. When his successful advertising firm in London folded, Peter McCormack decided to invest in Bitcoin. This was in 2016, and McCormack had been using Bitcoin for several years already. In fact, he had even used Bitcoin to pay for cancer treatment for his mother. He had lost money with Bitcoin before, but in 2016, he felt that the market had stabilized and become stronger. He invested about $23,000 in Bitcoin over the course of a few weeks. He hoped that his Bitcoin, which were worth $600 at the time, would rise to $2,000 in value by the end of the year. McCormack seemed to have hit the jackpot because a year later, his investment had risen to be worth $500,000. By the end of 2017, he had over $1 million worth of Bitcoin. McCormack didn't want to slow down his investing because his goal was to reach $5 million so he could buy his local soccer club. When the Bitcoin bubble burst in 2018, McCormack lost his millions and his dream of owning a sports team. Number 7. Stolen Bitcoin. MT-Gox was a Bitcoin exchange website based out of Shibuya, Japan. The website was launched in July of 2010, not long after Bitcoin itself was introduced. By 2013, MT-Gox was handling 70% of all Bitcoin transactions in the world. This success continued until February of 2014 when MT-Gox shut down its website, filed for bankruptcy, and shortly after began liquidation proceedings. It was announced that the sudden shutdown of MT-Gox occurred because approximately 850,000 Bitcoins belonging to customers and the company had been stolen. At the time, that was the equivalent of more than $450 million. Since then, 200,000 of the missing Bitcoin have been recovered, but this is still one of the biggest Bitcoin losses of all time. Number 8. Cryptocurrency Bubble Burst. A lot of the big cryptocurrency losses on this are because of the big drop in value that Bitcoin had in 2018. Not only did Bitcoin's value take a hit that year, but so did the value of other cryptocurrencies and digital currencies. Ether, a digital currency belonging to the platform Ethereum, is one of the biggest cryptocurrencies in the world next to Bitcoin. After the cryptocurrency bubble burst in the beginning of 2018, Ether's value dropped by 90% over the course of the year. The digital currency went from being worth its all-time high of $1,590 in January to barely being worth $90 in December. Ethereum also had its biggest monthly price drop that year when the value of Ether dropped by 58% in the month of March alone. Unlike Bitcoin, whose price has recovered and then some since its crash in 2018, Ether has not been able to get back to the value of $1,590 that it held at the beginning of 2018. Number 9. Bitcoin's first crash. Bitcoin has had 2 other crashes besides its biggest one in 2018. Bitcoin had its first big crash in 2011, just 2 years after the currency was launched. The value of Bitcoin hit its all-time high in June of 2011, with a single Bitcoin being worth $31. This doesn't seem like much, but when you consider that the new digital currency started out being worth nothing, it's kind of a big deal to grow that much in such a short amount of time. Bitcoin's value went on to deplete by 39% in August, and over the course of the year, its value would drop by about 90% in total. In November of 2011, a single Bitcoin was worth only $2, so rebuilding Bitcoin's value would basically be like starting from scratch again. Gaining all that value back was no easy feat, so it took until 2013 for Bitcoin's value to fully recover from its first major crash. Number 10. The second Bitcoin crash. Unfortunately, Bitcoin's second all-time high, which was achieved in late November of 2013, did not last for long. The value of a single Bitcoin had risen to $1,150 over the course of 2013, marking Bitcoin's first leap into being worth hundreds and even $1,000. Lots of eyes turned to Bitcoin that year, and many people rushed to begin investing in the budding digital currency before it became too expensive. These people would be disappointed when Bitcoin's value dropped by over 50% to just $500 in December of 2013. Bitcoin's value would briefly go back up to $1,000 before crashing back to being worth $500 again in February of 2014. This second crash was due to the abrupt shutdown of Mt. Gox. Hopefully, these stories will be a word of caution to you as you begin your journey with digital currencies such as Bitcoin. When the value of digital currencies rises with its demand, that bubble is sure to burst sooner or later. It is best to cash in your cryptocurrencies when you are in a comfortable position. Many of the people on this list could have been millionaires thanks to their digital currency investments, but instead, they waited too long and their earnings plummeted along with the value of the digital currencies they depended on. Which of these Bitcoin horror stories seem like the worst to you? Would you ever invest in Bitcoin? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.